Hello and welcome. I'm Erica Riggs, attorney and partner at Disability Law Group, and this is our podcast, Disability Lawyers for the Community. Today, for our second episode, we have Monica Boomer with us. Monica is the Chief Impact Officer of Zaman, and I immediately fell in love with Monica and the work that she and others a part of Zaman do for the community. This is simply fascinating work, unlike other organizations. And I think that you'll find also that her contagious energy and just genuine commitment to helping others in need is certainly very inspiring. So, Zaman has evolved in terms of its services and supports provided to the community since its inception, which we'll get into that in just a little bit. But the mission remains the same, advancing the lives of marginalized women and children by enabling them to meet just those essential basic human needs and really breaking the cycle of poverty. And they do it in such a way that is truly uplifting to those that they help and to the community overall. I've known Monica for many years now through a mutual friend of ours, and we have stayed connected through the years in various ways. A little bit of background about Monica. She holds a bachelor and master's degree in international peace studies from the University of Notre Dame in South Bend, Indiana. And she has extensive experience traveling abroad for both her studies and gaining practical experience in arenas of international women's rights and youth peace building, making her an incredible asset to Zaman and the people that they serve. Monica, welcome, and thank you for joining us here today.
Thank you so much, Erica. It's my honor to join you.
Yes, and why don't we just start and jump right in with you telling us a bit more about yourself and how you came to Zaman.
Sure. So I am a person who grew up in very much a matriarchal family, and knew from a young age that that women have so much to contribute to our family, but also our community.
Mhm.
So with that as a background, I ended up finding myself at Mercy High School in Farmington Hills, where I met one of my lifelong close friends, Nadia Bazzi. And it just so happens that around the time that we met, her mother had started Zaman with kind of nothing specific in mind as to the future of the organization, but hearing and seeing what she was doing just really inspired me, and it was always kind of in the back of my mind. So as I went through my education, I had a couple of I guess false career starts, one of them being in DC. I quickly decided that wasn't the right environment for me, but ended up after grad school back in Michigan, and at Nadia's house when her mom mentioned that she was looking for temporary help at Zaman as an office coordinator. And that was almost 10 years ago now. So through our CEO, Najah Bazzi's leadership, I've been able to really develop my own role at Zaman. And I've seen our growth from being the third full-time employee and now being one of about 30 employees at Zaman. So it's just been a tremendous ride that's really kind of allowed me to live my own values and to be able to give back in a very meaningful way.
Oh, that's just wonderful. And I do want to stop. I should have mentioned this earlier. Zaman is actually spelled Zaman. Monica,
Mhm.
why don't you tell us a little bit more about Zaman's mission?
Sure, sure. So the word Zaman means time, and it means time in a variety of different languages. When it was chosen as Zaman's name, we knew that it meant time in Hebrew and in Arabic. Since then, we've heard from folks around the world who have said, also in my linguistic tradition, it has the same meaning. But our question, the center of everything that we do is, what are we as individuals and as a community doing to be stewards for our neighbors in need.
Mm.
So when Zaman's mission first started, it really started with our CEO Najah, um, working as a nurse and meeting a family whose infant was literally dying in a laundry basket. The family had put all of their resources into caring for this baby, and the crib that they were able to provide was this laundry basket. And she walked in, she saw that, and that there was nothing else in the home, no appliances, very little clothing, and she just knew that something had to be done. The way she tells it is that anyone that had been in her shoes would have been moved to do something. So literally, Erica, it started with that family. She made a bunch of different phone calls, called her mom first and said, what can we do to help this family? By the end of that week, the family had a whole house full of furniture. They had cash that was donated from the community, and really what the family needed in order to put all of their emotional and other resources into this infant in the infant's final days. She walked away from that experience thinking, okay, time to put the nursing hat back on and get back to business as usual. But she kept finding families like this time and time again. And so for the first 8 years of Zaman, um, she was, you know, renting a U-Haul every single weekend. She had her 8-year-old son building cribs for families in need. She had her basement, her garage just filled with donated items, and that's the point at which I saw Zaman's work first. Um,
Wow. That is truly
yeah,
inspiring. And I know that for those listening, this story and the details of what happened and what was going through her mind and her experiences at that time is on the website,
mhm,
zamaninternational.org. And it seems like this happened, around, I think, the mid 90s.
correct.
And then it wasn't until I think 2004 that Zaman International became officially an NGO committed to addressing the basic needs of women and children, empowering marginalized women and children through programs and relief. And Monica, why don't you tell us a little bit more about Zaman today? What services
Yes.
does your organization provide and the target population in need of your help?
Sure. So since those first days of Zaman, we've really narrowed our focus so that we're able to specialize. And today we serve single moms and their children, as well as refugee families. And as you mentioned earlier, our goal is to help them break that cycle of poverty. We do so by first stabilizing the family through their basic needs. We have a client choice food pantry, a clothing closet, access to housewares, case management, mental wellness. And then once that family is stabilized in terms of basic needs, we actually offer vocational training as well. So we offer English as a second language, sewing, and the culinary arts. Um, and eh, you know, um, as we've kind of honed in on those particular services to the community, we actually just this quarter surpassed 300,000 individuals served in Southeast Michigan since around 2010. So you know, being able to really focus on this target population, single moms and refugee families, has enabled us to specialize and hopefully become thought leaders in the nonprofit community as well.
Wow, that truly sets Zaman apart from other organizations in Michigan that are also doing really important work in the community. Where are you guys located, and how would somebody, listening here who maybe thinks they could get involved, or maybe somebody, another resource provider, another organization that thinks that the people they serve could be impacted and helped by the services that Zaman provides, how would they learn more about this and maybe refer someone over to you and get started?
Sure. So we are located in Inkster. which has been such a tremendous community of support. The other nonprofits, the other community leaders have just really embraced us since we moved there in about 2016. But in terms of folks who are either looking for services or looking to partner with us, the first place to start, as you mentioned, is our website, zamaninternational.org. From there, you can find my contact information. If you're interested in volunteering, you can find my colleague Abby's contact information and reach out to her. And I also recommend following us on social media. We tend to share kind of all of our upcoming activities and opportunities, both for recipients and for those wanting to support through Facebook and Instagram as well.
Now, when I toured the facility, which is just beautiful, by the way,
Mhm.
I was really impressed by the culinary program you mentioned, the sewing. I actually was able to see this live in action. It was incredible. Tell us a little bit more about what's going on there and the skills that the women and the families develop as a result of that.
Sure. So the skills portion of what we offer, um, uh, for most of our clients, they enroll in English as a second language or adult basic literacy, as kind of the basis of their education. Uh, from there, they're able to learn a national curriculum. They're also able to benefit from groups like yours, Erica, that come in and provide enrichment opportunities, help to educate them about different fields of work and different kind of bodies of knowledge so that they really have a holistic experience there. In terms of skills training, we do offer our culinary arts program, which essentially our head chef has taken culinary school and boiled it down to either a 12-week or an academic year program. At the end of this program, our graduates leave having taken a national certification exam to be a certified first line cook, which helps them get a leg up when it comes to entering the job market. And then our sewing program is geared towards basic education, intermediate, and then advanced. Our advanced students are also able to enroll in an entrepreneurship class so that when they leave Zaman, they not only have a national certification that they've sat for, but could also choose between either entering the workforce or opening their own business, which some of our clients are more comfortable doing. And in the next year or two, we've actually got some exciting developments happening around these programs with a look towards workforce development and on-site job opportunities for our graduates so that they can have a bit of a buffer um, between their education at Zaman, feeling comfortable at Zaman, and kind of leaving the nest, if you will, and exploring employment. Because for many of them, the soft skill development is very crucial to their future success. So we want to be able to provide them with work experience on site as well.
Wonderful. And tell us a little bit more about the people that you help. When we talked specifically about, vulnerable populations and breaking that cycle
Mhm.
of poverty, tell us a little bit more about the people that are most impacted by your services. And,
Mhm.
if we can get into maybe a little bit of maybe a story, somebody that you've helped that would especially ring true to Zaman's support services that you've mentioned and just really hit home for you.
Sure, sure. So we do have, obviously, we have several, many success stories, but one in particular I think really exemplifies what Zaman does, what kind of full circle at Zaman looks like. This particular person came to us uh, about 2 years ago now, and she was in need of basic needs assistance for herself and her daughter. They were in need of food. They were in need of assistance finding a place to live. And we knew from the start that she was very committed to making this change for herself and her daughter. And our staff offered her case management as well. And just as soon as she was able to feel confident and comfortable that she knew where her next meal was coming from, she approached us about enrolling in our culinary arts program. She was, from the start, our star student that year, and she really just blew us all away uh, by her growth in the kitchen. And following her completion of the program, we were actually able to bring her on as an apprentice at Zaman. So with the Department of Labor, we were able to give her on-the-job training. She was able to shadow our chefs and all the while still receive those basic needs supports that we've been giving her all along. And fast forward to earlier this fall, when she actually became a paid employee at Zaman. We were just starting to introduce a line of bread and baked goods into the local market that would support our programs. We needed someone to help our chefs produce this, and she just transitioned so smoothly into a paying position with Zaman. So to see that come full circle in just over 2 years, I think really shows the importance of what we do with her, with other single moms that are in her position. And in her case, this wasn't too relevant, but we also have staff members that are bilingual in Arabic and English, so that we're able to provide assistance for many of the refugee communities in our local area. Um, uh, we see a lot of refugees from Syria, Lebanon, Iraq, that come specifically through our English as a second language program and our sewing program as well. So we just strive to meet our clients wherever they are and get them to where they want to be. It's not a one-size-fits-all approach for us. It's really customized down to each individual client. And that's really what we pride ourselves on, because we find that that's the best way to secure their dignity throughout the entire process.
I love that story, and it really does highlight the importance of the work and truly the comprehensive scope of the reach of your programs. It's just
Mhm.
phenomenal. What hurdles, if any, have you and Zaman faced, um, maybe in recent
Mhm.
years or particularly because of COVID?
Sure. So I would say in general, our hurdles are probably similar to many other organizations in our region. The first being transportation. We've struggled to kind of fill that need for our clients. And second to that is childcare. So we've worked with organizations like Starfish, who are absolutely wonderful, but being able to provide that service on site is something that I think will eventually become a necessity for us. And of course, transportation. Um, you know, we serve. We don't have a geographical limit to who we serve, as long as those folks can get to us or we can get to them with the services provided. Um, Looking specifically at COVID, um, COVID actually transformed how we serve um, in many different ways. I think the most important being that we shifted almost our entire focus in terms of client services to food provision. Um, and to give you a feel, Erica, for the scope of this change, um, within the first 3 months after COVID, we had given out almost as much food as we gave out in all of 2019 combined.
Wow.
Um, so the need has just skyrocketed. In order to be good neighbors, in order to serve kind of this really unprecedented need, we lifted kind of our mission requirements. In other words, we're not just providing this food to single moms and refugee families, we're providing it to any family that needs it. Our classes have all gone virtual, including sewing, including cooking, and this has, um, of course, brought along, as all listeners are familiar with, those tech questions and tech difficulties. But it has also allowed us to grow, for example, our literacy program from usually 40 students all the way up to 70 students. And it's because those hurdles um, aren't are now able to be overcome with virtual learning. So they don't have to worry about childcare. They can do their lessons in the evening, and they don't have to worry about getting to us. They can work from home. So it's, as much as it's put a strain on our resources, both human and otherwise, we're really striving to see um, what we can learn from COVID, and what we can continue to integrate into our services, even looking toward a world that's hopefully post-COVID.
Oh, I love hearing about organizations, especially as, smaller businesses and nonprofits and those providing these critical, basic needs for our community, especially during a pandemic and these difficult
Mhm.
times, are leveraging technology and our resources to really just grow and expand that reach. What's next? What are maybe some upcoming events or programs? I think you touched on this a little bit in terms of the vocational aspect, but what can we look to in the coming weeks or months for Zaman?
Sure. Yes, things have not stopped at Zaman just because of the pandemic. As I mentioned, we are working towards a more comprehensive workforce development program on site. We are also working on renovating and kind of increasing healthy options within our food pantry, so that when it's open to our families in need again, they have an even more positive experience choosing the food that they'd like. We look forward to being able to open our clothing closet, which also doubles as a thrift store on site as well. That's been closed since March, but hopefully in the new year, we'll be able to reopen to the public and to our clients. Um, and looking at the immediate term, um, this Thursday, I'm not sure if this is going live before then, but on November 19th, we'll be doing a huge food giveaway with one of the Detroit Lions players at our center in Inkster from 12 to 3.
Wonderful. I'll definitely make sure that this goes live by then. And that's a very
Mhm.
important opportunity for people. And that brings me to my next question about donating. So I know that with COVID, there's some hurdles with the food pantry and with the clothing
Mhm.
closet, and you have the furniture there as well. What are some ways that people, and the best ways for people to maybe donate at this time?
Sure. Um, so in terms of donating, especially during COVID, we have been extremely blessed and just overcome with gratitude for the number of individuals and organizations that have been so generous with Zaman, and have really allowed us to continue our programs. But for folks who are interested in donating now, they can of course go to our website, zamaninternational.org, and where they'll be able to make a monetary donation. And they'll also be able to get information on how to donate gently used clothing and shoes. For now, we are not accepting furniture just for safety purposes. But again, clothing, shoes, all of this is critical to us being able to support the families that we serve. We do offer no contact porch pickups for those items as well. And all of that information is on the website.
Wonderful. And what would you want to tell someone listening who may benefit or know someone who will benefit from Zaman services, but maybe hasn't heard about their work and their mission? Maybe even someone who's a little too nervous or fearful about reaching out. What would you want to tell them? What would you want them to know?
I want them to know that Zaman strives first and foremost to be a place, um, a place of hope. And what we say among our staff is, Zaman is about hope for humanity. It's about giving people that safe space um, to identify their hopes and um, to really work towards that hope. But it's never a place where we tell you what your hope should be. For some of our clients, it's just that once every 2 week boost in food that they need from us. For others, like the client I mentioned earlier, they're ready to dig in and make a real impact and a real change in their life. But we're ready and willing to meet you wherever you're at and wherever you want to be.
Wonderful. And whenever I think of important community organizations that really are critical to our most vulnerable populations and people in need, I immediately picture Zaman. And today we have heard a bit about some of the current needs there, from childcare to transportation. And I hope that more people, after listening to this podcast, become inspired by Zaman's work and can get involved in future events and fundraising opportunities, and just thinking, holistically about partnership efforts as well. So with that, Monica, thank you for taking the time to talk to us about yourself and the incredible mission and work of Zaman. I'm a better person for knowing you and the team there, and I look forward to seeing that grow.
Thank you so much, Erica. We appreciate you so much.
Take care and be safe.